I'll be honest with you. 2 years ago, my backyard was embarrassing. Dead patches scattered across the lawn, flower beds choked with weeds, and a general sense that nobody had cared about this space in far too long. I avoided hosting barbecues, I made excuses when friends suggested sitting outside. The truth was, I was ashamed of how my garden looked. Then, I stumbled onto a few ridiculously simple tricks that changed everything. Not expensive renovations, not hiring professionals, just clever, budget-friendly hacks that transformed my outdoor disaster into a space people actually compliment. Now neighbors slow down when they walk past, friends ask to take photos, and I finally have a backyard I'm proud to enjoy. Hey garden lovers, welcome to Daily Garden Fix. I'm here to show you practical tips that turn problem yards into beautiful spaces without draining your wallet. If you're ready to transform your garden using smart shortcuts and creative solutions, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. You don't want to miss what's coming. Today, I'm sharing the 10 specific hacks that took my backyard from embarrassing to impressive. And trust me, if I could do this, anyone can. Hack 1. The depth illusion mirror trick. The first hack that shocked me was adding an outdoor mirror to my back fence. Sounds weird, right? But this single addition made my cramped garden feel twice the size overnight. I picked up a large, weatherproof mirror from a home improvement store, mounted it on the fence behind some plants, and suddenly had what looked like a secret garden pathway extending into the distance. The mirror reflects plants, sky, and light back into the space, creating an optical illusion of depth that tricks your brain into thinking the garden continues beyond its actual boundaries. I positioned mine at a slight angle, so you couldn't see yourself in it directly, which keeps the illusion working perfectly. To make it blend naturally, I surrounded the edges with climbing vines and tall perennials. Within a few weeks, the plants grew around it, and now it looks like you're peeking through foliage into another garden room. Visitors constantly walk toward it before realizing it's a reflection. The best part? This cost me under $50 and took maybe an hour to install. But the impact on how spacious my garden feels is worth thousands in perceived value. Hack number 2. Dramatic edge definition. Hack number 2 gave my garden instant structure. I created raised borders around my flower beds using a mix of recycled bricks and timber I found for cheap at a salvage yard. This simple elevation, just 4 to 6 inches high, completely transformed how organized and intentional my garden looked. Before this, my beds just sort of melted into the lawn. There was no clear separation, no definition. Grass invaded the beds constantly, and the whole thing looked sloppy. These raised edges fixed everything in one weekend. The slight height makes plants stand out like they're on display. It keeps mulch contained exactly where I want it, and it stops grass roots from creeping in, which has cut my weeding time in half. The visual impact is immediate. Suddenly, my garden looks like someone actually designed it with purpose. You don't need expensive materials for this. Reclaimed wood, stacked stones, even repurposed materials work beautifully. The goal is just creating that clean line of separation that signals this is an intentional garden space. Hack 3. Fragrant living pathways. The third hack turned my boring pathway into something magical. Between my stepping stones, instead of leaving bare dirt or plain gravel, I planted creeping thyme. Every single time someone walks along this path now, they release waves of fragrance that make the whole garden smell incredible. Creeping thyme is basically indestructible. It handles foot traffic, requires almost no water once established, and naturally suppresses weeds. So my pathway went from high maintenance to nearly maintenance-free, while simultaneously becoming one of the most commented on features of my entire yard. The visual softness it adds is remarkable too. Instead of harsh stones on bare ground, you get this lush, flowing carpet of green with tiny purple flowers in summer. It creates that cottage garden charm everyone loves, but thinks is complicated to achieve. If thyme isn't your style, moss works beautifully in shady areas, or you can try Irish moss for bright spots. The principle is the same. Turn your pathways into living features instead of dead hardscape. Hack number 4. Nighttime solar drama. Hack number 4 transformed my garden into a completely different space after dark. I bought a set of solar-powered spotlights and positioned them at the base of my favorite trees and larger shrubs. When evening hits, these lights shine upward, creating dramatic shadows and highlighting textures I never even noticed during the day. Suddenly, my garden became a place I actually wanted to be at night. The uplighting creates this mysterious, sophisticated atmosphere that feels like a resort or high-end restaurant garden. Friends now specifically ask if we can sit outside in the evening because the ambiance is so incredible. The genius of solar lights is zero ongoing cost and no complicated wiring. I just stuck them in the ground, angled them upward, and let the sun do the work. During the day, they're barely visible among the plants, but at night, they create pure magic. I focused on trees with interesting bark texture and shrubs with layered branching. The shadows cast on fences and walls add even more depth and drama. This 15-minute project completely changed how I use my garden. Hack number 5. Color blocking strategy. The 5th hack made my random plant collection look like intentional design. I stopped buying whatever caught my eye at the garden center and started grouping plants by color into dedicated zones. One corner became my cool tone area with purples, blues, and silvers. Another section is entirely warm yellows and oranges. A third space features only whites and creams. This color blocking approach creates visual flow that feels professional and planned. When people walk through my garden now, they experience distinct moods in different areas. The cool corner feels calm and meditative. The warm section bursts with energy and joy. The practical benefit is that plant shopping became infinitely easier. Instead of wondering whether a new plant will clash with everything else, I simply add it to whichever color zone matches. No more random mismatched chaos. This is the kind of technique professional garden designers use to create cohesive spaces. But you don't need a design degree. Just commit to keeping colors grouped together instead of scattered randomly.
Hack 6. Strategic pot clustering. Hack 6 turned my sad collection of individual pots into a stunning focal point. Instead of having containers randomly scattered around looking lonely and disconnected, I gathered them into one bold cluster near my back door. I mixed different sizes, heights, and materials, terracotta, ceramic, even some painted pots, to create a dynamic composition. To give the arrangement visual interest and dimension, I used overturned buckets and stacked bricks as hidden risers. This created levels and layers that make even basic plants look intentional and expensive. The tallest pots go in the back, medium heights in the middle, and trailing plants spill over from the front. This clustering trick proves you don't need rare exotic plants to make an impact. Even common affordable plants look spectacular when arranged thoughtfully in one eye-catching display. It's like the difference between scattering artwork randomly on walls versus creating a gallery wall. The impact is completely different. Hack 7. Crisp pebble borders. The 7th hack gave my entire garden a polished, finished look. I dug shallow trenches along every bed edge and filled them with light-colored river pebbles. This simple frame created sharp contrast against the dark soil and green plants, making everything look intentional and clean. The visual impact is like putting a picture frame around each garden bed. Suddenly, the space feels organized and carefully maintained, even though I didn't change a single plant. That clean white pebble border draws your eye and creates definition that screams professional landscaping. But this hack isn't just cosmetic. The pebble trench catches mulch that might otherwise spill onto the lawn. It improves drainage during heavy rain. and it creates a barrier that discourages weeds from creeping between the lawn and beds. I spent maybe 3 hours total digging these trenches and filling them with pebbles from a landscape supply store. The material cost was minimal, but the transformation in how finished and sophisticated my garden looks is remarkable. Hack 8. Vertical plant layering. Hack 8 brought professional-level depth to my flat, boring beds. I started arranging plants by height, putting tall shrubs and grasses in the back, medium perennials in the middle, and low ground covers in front. This layering creates the lush, full look you see in magazine gardens. Before this, I just planted things wherever there was space, which meant everything was jumbled at random heights. The garden looked confused and flat. Strategic layering changed everything. Now, when you look at my beds, your eye travels through different levels, discovering new plants and textures as you scan from front to back. I also mix different textures and foliage colors within each layer. Spiky grasses next to rounded shrubs, dark green foliage beside chartreuse. These contrasts make each plant stand out instead of blurring into a green blob. This technique doesn't require adding plants or expanding your beds. You're just rearranging what you already have based on mature height. But the transformation in visual impact is extraordinary. Hack 9. Invisible irrigation system. The 9th hack eliminated the ugly hose situation that plagued my garden. I installed a simple drip irrigation system under my mulch layer, making the entire watering system invisible. Now, water goes directly to plant roots without any mess on the surface. This hidden setup keeps the garden looking clean and polished all the time. No more hoses snaking across the lawn, no more sprinklers sitting out looking utilitarian, just beautiful garden beds that somehow stay perfectly watered. Beyond aesthetics, this system cut my water waste dramatically. Drip irrigation delivers water right where plants need it, with no evaporation or runoff. My plants are healthier, they bloom longer, and I spend zero time dragging hoses around or remembering to move sprinklers. Setting this up took one weekend and cost less than $200 for my entire garden. But the payoff in reduced maintenance and improved appearance has been worth every penny. Hack 10. Textured mulch patterns. The final hack turned the ground itself into a design feature. Instead of using the same mulch everywhere, I created patterns using different natural materials. Dark wood chips in one bed, golden straw around vegetables, and shredded leaves along pathways. This mosaic approach makes the garden floor interesting instead of just functional. The visual variety is striking. Different colors and textures create zones and add personality that makes the whole space feel curated and artistic. It's an unexpected detail that elevates the entire garden design. Each mulch type also serves different purposes. Wood chips retain moisture for thirsty shrubs. Straw insulates vegetable beds and breaks down slowly. Shredded leaves feed the soil as they decompose. So this hack is both beautiful and functionally smart for plant health. The cost is minimal, since I use whatever free or cheap materials are available seasonally, but the impact on making my garden look thoughtfully designed and unique is significant. Before we wrap up, let me share the daily habits that keep my transformed garden looking spectacular. Every morning, I do a quick 5-minute walkthrough with small pruners. I deadhead spent flowers, remove any yellowing leaves, and do tiny maintenance tasks before they become big problems. Mid-season, I add a thin, fresh layer of mulch. This keeps beds looking neat and helps retain moisture during hot summer months. It's like giving your garden a fresh haircut. Suddenly, everything looks polished again. I also keep a watering can by my back door. Every time I step outside, I give quick drinks to any plant that looks slightly thirsty. These tiny daily touches mean my garden never gets into crisis mode, requiring major weekend interventions. And there you have it, the 10 hacks that completely transformed my garden from embarrassing to impressive. When I started, my backyard was just patchy grass with random struggling plants that didn't create any real impact. but by adding mirror illusions for depth, building raised borders for structure, layering plants for visual interest, and hiding my irrigation system, I turned a neglected space into something I genuinely love showing off. What I appreciate most is that none of these required hiring professionals or spending a fortune. These are simple, affordable changes anyone can tackle, whether you have a huge yard or a tiny urban plot. And they don't just improve appearance for one season, they make maintenance easier and keep the garden beautiful year after year. If you try even one of these ideas, you'll see immediate improvement. Imagine walking outside to a garden that feels like a personal sanctuary, where every corner looks purposeful, where colors pop, and lighting creates magic after dark. That's exactly what these hacks can give you. If this video helped you see what's possible in your own space, give it a thumbs up and share it with friends who could use some garden inspiration. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you catch every episode. I've got more transformative tips coming that will take your outdoor space to levels you didn't think possible. Thank you for spending time with me today. I hope you feel ready to get outside and start your own transformation. Remember, your garden doesn't need to be perfect to be beautiful. It just needs a little creativity and care. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, keep growing something amazing.